I don't remember how to do this. It's been yeah, one of those kind of weekends. Funeral Friday, so fuck you. I haven't painted in almost a year. Not in a good place right now. Something to listen to, sure. I'll make this for the museum.
In order to survive winter, the Falron searches for food. Scott's tough than the Falron food is essential for building strong roots. Once fed, it can hibernate about that stronger in the spring.
This used to cost you this, but now this only buys you this. The dollar menu is dead. It's a fact, but the killer or killers might just be you and me. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the show that provides quality theories at a fair price. I have to say, whenever I'm driving down the street nowadays and I see ads for Wendy's and McDonald's and their prices, I can't help but get nostalgic and think about the old days. The days when you could scrounge for quarters under the couch cushions and go to McDonald's and get yourself a burger and fries. The days that getting that didn't require a small bank loan. The days of the dollar menu. It's safe to say those days are long gone. But what actually happened to the famous dollar menu? Was it simply just a case of corporate greed? Is there something more at play? And most importantly, though the dollar menu went the way of the dodo or my dignity, does that mean that the new and, well, I was going to say improved, value menus don't really provide value at all? Even though McDonald's changed the industry with the dollar menu in 2002, they were actually pretty late to the game as far as value offerings in fast food places. Wendy's was actually the pioneer in the space with the super value menu, first introduced in 1989.
They call it Wendy's Super Value Menu. Everything is just 99 cents.
On this menu was the Biggie soft drink or shake, Biggie fries, chili, junior bacon cheeseburger, and a baked potato, each one costing 99 cents. This was a huge hit at the time due to its affordability, particularly because of the cost of living crisis going on, where houses became very expensive and people were struggling financially to afford housing. A cheap meal meant there was one less thing to worry about. As you can imagine, it wasn't long before other fast food chains wanted in on the act. Places came up with different strategies that were similar to the super value menu. Taco Bell came out with a 59, 79, 99 cent menu in 1990. It had a large list of items within those price brackets. You could walk out with a huge range of items from hard or soft tacos, nachos, burritos, and tostadas, and only spend a few dollars. Seriously, I would give anything to go back to that time and get all the soft taco things I could afford. But I'm stuck with $3 a pop. Fast food chains through the 90s tried to combat things differently by simply lowering the prices of items on their regular menu. But that wasn't really working. So, sure enough, chains like Burger King followed in the footsteps of Wendy's and Taco Bell, launching the 99-cent Great Taste menu in 1998. This menu offered items like a 5-piece nugget, bacon cheeseburger, onion rings, french fries, or a drink, all for 99 cents. The Golden Arches didn't cave until years later. In 2002, they released their version of the value menu. But they did something different. Rather than coming up with super catchy names like the Wendy's Super Value Menu or the 99-cent Great Taste Menu, McDonald's simply called it the Dollar Menu, because it said everything it needed to in 2 words. There's a menu, and every item costs $1. The Dollar Menu offered similar to other places were doing: fries, drinks, a cheeseburger, but also offered the McChicken sandwich and apple, all for $1. And in this world, marketing is king. And McDonald's is the king of marketing. So the dollar menu became the gold standard of value. The golden age of the Golden Arches ended in 2018 though, when McDonald's axed the dollar menu and instead rolled out the value menu, which had multiple items ranging from $1 to $3. Needless to say, people weren't happy and started asking questions. Firstly, what, why, and where can I buy cheap pitchforks? The what is the dollar menu went bye-bye. The pitchfork, yeah, honestly probably at Lowe's or something, I don't know. And the why comes down to three major reasons. Inflation, boring, not corporate greed, gas, and finally, us, the customer. Beginning with the chain that started it all, we're gonna look back at the items originally on the Wendy's Super Value menu and see how much it would cost us to get those items today. Looking at the most recent menu, and obviously this can vary depending on location, a junior bacon cheeseburger costs $2.99.
This one's not going to be very good because, yeah.
$2.69, nicer. A milkshake or frosty, $2.59. Fries, $2.69, nicer still. And finally, chili now costs $3.19. Remember, all these items did cost 99 cents. So we're looking at a $1.60 to $2.20 increase in cost since the value menu first launched. In the 90s, $3 could get you fries, a burger, and a drink. Now, $3 gets you fries and 31 cents, which in this economy is getting you nothing. And speaking of, anyway, speaking of, what is that? Oh, that's right. It's my freshly roasted beans, thanks to our partner for today, Trade's Coffee. Clearly, I'm no fan of wasting money. I want balance. I want quality. I want pretty much everything the big chains aren't doing. But thanks to Trade Coffee, I can make sure my days start off with the best beans I can get to make my morning cup of coffee. Doesn't matter how you like your coffee. Just take their quiz, and in under a minute, biggity bam, they'll recommend you coffee that you'll love. Personally,
Need some other coffee colors.
I got this super nice coffee bean grinder that I hadn't been using just because I never knew what beans to get. I got some at the grocery store that ended up tasting like Ronald McDonald bath water, and it's been collecting dust ever since. But when I found Trade, they make things better. They source the best beans from over 50 top roasters, and they keep their prices competitive with the grocery store brands, but with a quality that isn't bath water. And it doesn't matter if you're a hot coffee or a cold brew.
I've done this in so
They got
long.
you covered. Plus, the first bath they give you isn't perfect. They'll
This
roast
one.
for free until it is. Right
Yeah,
now,
that's
Trade is offering 50%
the change I'm looking
off a
for.
1-month trial at drinktrade.com/food. That's drinktrade.com/food to get
The contrast I'm
50%
looking
off
for a little
1
bit.
month, so that you can get the value and quality you deserve. Now let's see why you can't get that elsewhere. Because inflation causes prices to go up, over time, 99 cents has less of an effect on what you can buy. This is called purchasing power. Back in 1989, having 99 cents was good, but because of inflation, to have the same amount of purchasing power today, you would need to have $2.53. Now, when you look at the items originally on the value menu and what they cost at Wendy's today, it's not far off the $2.53 mark, is it? The frosty shake, fries, drink, and baked potato are all $2.69. Again, nice. Granted, the junior bacon cheeseburger and chili are a little bit more, but overall, you can see that Wendy's 99-cent items have simply increased to match inflation, not just to make more money. So while yes, the 99-cent menu is gone, in today's money, it still costs the equivalent of 99 cents. And when you look at Taco Bell's value menu, you'll see it's pretty much doing the same thing. So yeah, these basic items from Wendy's have clearly gone up in price a lot, but thanks to inflation, so has everything else. And because of inflation, businesses have to increase their prices so that they can still turn a profit. It's just basic business. But inflation is the boring answer, and not even that correct of an answer to begin with. Because, especially for McDonald's, the dollar menu was never about turning a profit. So while inflation definitely does factor in, it's not that big of a factor because Mickey D and the Funky Bunch don't mind losing money that way. Which leads us to my next point. For once, it's not corporate greed. It says here, pause for gasp. Are you gasping? If you did gasp, let me know by clicking the subscribe button. But yeah, for once, it's not corporate greed. And I am choosing my words carefully there. Because it's not McDonald's corporate that cared about ending the dollar menu. It was the franchisees. Seriously, McDonald's corporate does not give a flying ride whether the dollar menu is on the menu or not. We've covered this before, but TLDW, McDonald's makes the lion's share of their money from real estate, aka the rent they take from franchisees. If you actually break down the numbers, it can be deceiving. In 2014, for example, McDonald's made $9.2 billion from its franchise locations, and a whopping matching $18.2 billion from corporate-owned locations. Now, you might see this and be confused because only a third of the revenue comes from those franchise owners, except the devil is in the details, or in this case, the profit margin. McDonald's only retains 16% of the revenue made in corporate locations, but an insane 82% from the
Nothing big for you today, bro. Oh, I'm bad. Ow! Here it says muscular. Wait, what is this? Each block kills up to 12 mice. Bro, something not recommended by mice because they're dead.
It costs a boatload more to actually run your own store than to just sit back and collect the moolah. And that revenue isn't just from rent, it is also from your food. But the way that relationship works between McDonald's corporate and the franchise owners is that McDonald's takes a cut from the top line sales, meaning the revenue something makes before accounting for its cost. Let's look at it this way. Assume a burger takes $3 for a location to produce, and that includes ingredients, labor costs, all that stuff, yada yada yada. The franchise owners have to set the
Thanks for the
prices
thumbs up
so
before I
that
head
they
out.
make
Always
the $3
appreciated.
back, but also make a profit so that they can pay themselves, have money stashed away for a rainy day to fix equipment and all that stuff, but also so that they can start getting a return on their initial investment, which for McDonald's locations can range from $1 to $2 million. But corporate comes in and says they get a percentage of that final price. If that burger ends up costing $5, McDonald's doesn't get a cut of the profit of that burger after the franchise owners take out the $3. They get a cut of the $5 themselves. So if a location were to set the price of that burger to $3, just enough to recoup all their costs, not only would they not make a profit, but they would actually lose money every sale. This ties back to the dollar menu because even if it's just from $1, McDonald's corporate makes money, especially on a scale of millions of customers daily. The franchise owners, though, lost a lot of money. To be fair, it wasn't just at McDonald's. Burger King franchisees actually sued the
remember
chain
how to do
back
this.
in 2009 when corporate introduced a $1 double cheeseburger promotion. It's actually a fascinating relationship because to corporate, so long as the locations are standing and people are walking in, they're making money. So offering promotions like a dollar menu or other things that keep people rushing through the door is a flat out win for them, even though that would come at a loss to franchise owners. Doesn't matter because to them, the goal is sheer numbers. The owners are the ones in the weeds, the ones that need to worry about how much each item will actually profit them. And this is where greed sets in because they want to make as much money as possible. So from minute one, they wanted the dollar menu to die. They fought McDonald's tooth and nail to make that happen, but we played our part in that too. Yeah, you heard me. You and me. We killed the dollar menu! Or, yeah, at least had our hand in it, even if it was inadvertent. See, the dollar menu, like so many other things that seem to save customers money, was originally a loss leader. An item that purposefully loses an establishment money, but gets people in the door and spending money on more profitable items. But the dollar menu backfired hard thanks to us. In a way, it was so successful that it failed, because people were able to make out with a full meal using it, and didn't feel compelled to buy the more profitable items. Customers ended up spending less money with each visit, about 3 cents less on average. I know that sounds like a ridiculously small amount, but remember, an average McDonald's location serves around 2,000 customers daily. That's $60 a day, or almost $22,000 a year. Across all stores, that would mean a loss of almost $300 million. It also didn't help that very popular items were on the dollar menu. You had double cheeseburgers, nuggets, drinks, and fries. All the greatest hits. It's no coincidence that when McDonald's officially axed the dollar menu in 2018 and reintroduced the revamped value menu, that fries were conveniently left off the list of items. Not only are fries the most popular item on the McDonald's menu, meaning they're a guaranteed customer buy, but they also have one of the highest profit margins. So, not selling them at full price is a pretty bonehead move from a business perspective. Yeah, you heard me. Boneheaded. Because it may have been awesome for us, the customers, but it was a really flawed execution from the jump. And the fact that it lasted over 15 years is nothing short of a miracle. And now all we can do is look back at the good old days of value. But, and like me, there is a big old but here, was the dollar menu ever really that good to begin with? And is value, as we knew and loved it, really gone forever? Well, to determine that, let's go back in time a bit and compare a dollar menu meal to the new value menu meal. Today, the limited edition McDouble meal deal costs around $5 depending on where you live and comes with a McDouble, 4 nuggets, small
Gotta be
fries, and a
messier.
small drink. This will be our baseline. Back in 2002, those 4 things would cost $4 off the dollar menu. But how much was each item normally? Luckily, there are pictures of the menu from back in 2001, which should help us get a pretty close estimate. Taking a look at this horrifically pixelated menu, we can make out the price of the small drink and small fries to be $1.19 and 99 cents respectively. From there, the comparisons get a bit trickier. See, the McDouble is essentially just a double cheeseburger, but with only 1 slice of cheese. The double cheeseburger was on the dollar menu and sold with Happy Meals, but not as an individual item. So getting its regular price takes a bit of finagling. The closest regular item at the time would be the Big and Tasty, around a similar amount of beef with similar toppings that sold for $1.49 or $1.69 with cheese. The nuggets are a similar tricky situation because the dollar menu was a 4-piece nugget, but the closest regular item was a 6-piece that sold for $2.29. Let's take this at face value.
Oh, thank you guys for the thumbs up before I head out. So I always appreciate it.
Based on that price. A regular 4-piece nugget would then cost about $1.50. In total, spending $4 on those 4 items would save you a whopping $1.40. Basically, you're saving almost 26% by going with the dollar menu version. Not bad at all. Now let's flash forward to today. Those $4 are now $5. But looking at my local McDonald's menu for the individual items, small fries cost $3.89. A small drink, $2.19. 4-piece nuggets cost $3.49. And a McDouble costs $3.59. Meaning the total cost of the meal is $13.10. Is that outrageous compared to the $5.40 it would have cost 23 years ago? 100%. But with the value meal priced at $5, you're actually saving about 62%. So as far as value goes, there's way more value in the items being given now than back in the good old days, which were great, but maybe not as good as we remember. See, there's a bit of a Mandela effect that's happened over the years. People remember going into McDonald's with a couple of quarters and making out like bandits with a drink, fries, a burger, and a 4th item, be it nuggets or a dessert. But that was never a thing. I mean, maybe it was in the 60s, but not on the dollar menu. A full meal, burger, fries, drink, and that 4th item, be it nuggets or dessert, was $4. Don't get me wrong, still a great deal. But when you realize it barely saved you $1.50, suddenly it doesn't seem like such a steal. Whereas today, you're actually stealing from McDonald's with that McDouble meal deal. There's a reason why it's just a limited time item. Because if it was a permanent fixture at those $5, the franchise owners would essentially be paying you and corporate to be eating at their location. So the dollar menu may be long gone, and we'll never be able to buy a burger for $1 again. But value may just be more alive than ever. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And speaking of fast food, I made Taco Bell's newest menu item with assorted food. Make sure to click the link on the screen now to watch it. And as always, I'll see you next week.
I don't have my little tiny one. I don't know where it is. It got lost in the mess.
A message from the government of Canada.
I have seen a video circulating online. Sorry, I can't get myself straight right now. I have seen a video circulating online that says that this lemonade should be illegal. Illegal? I mean, it's lemonade. Lemons are delicious. It's a little bit bitter, a little bit sour. It's great. It is balanced, as all things should be. Illegal? No. Put all of that aside. What they are claiming is that this right here has more caffeine than 4 espressos worth of caffeine. Excuse me. Find that a little hard to believe. It also seems kind of unhealthy. Panera, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill me? It's time we find out.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the only show that
Oh,
gets a
it looks
buzz
like a
of food
ghost.
right. No matter if you're a
Oh,
Chipotle
my
Chad or
dear.
a Baja Fresh Brad, you're going to want to pay attention to this one because today we're talking about Panera Bread's newest product, Cracking a Cup. You see, about a month ago, a video was uploaded onto TikTok by a user named Sarah Baus. In it, she takes 2 minutes to rant about one of Panera's newest menu items, their mango yuzu citrus lemonade. But this isn't your typical selfie car rant video about restaurant lemonade, my friends. Oh no, this one's a bit unhinged.
I want something that should be illegal. 100% should be illegal. So, and it has to do with this drink. Give me a second. So, at Panera. Oh, I cannot get myself straight.
Pretty soon you start to realize what exactly is going on here.
This is the mango yuzu citrus charged lemonade. When I'm sitting there, I'll drink 4 or 5 of these, the regular size. It has 82 grams of sugar. Let's push that aside. It has 260 milligrams of caffeine. An espresso, I looked it up, has 63 milligrams of caffeine. 63! for one shot of espresso.
She's essentially drugged out of her mind on caffeine. Practically leaks through the screen onto your scrolling thumb as she rants. She is literally a real-life version of Tweak from South Park. But that's weird, right? A lemonade having over 4 times the amount of caffeine as an espresso? There's no way. This whole thing had to have been a bit.
I have to find
this
this small one.
No, she was making a video because she
Maybe
was
buy everything again.
and thought that
I'm gonna
Panera
buy
was
everything
breaking the law by not labeling their lemonade accordingly.
I don't have caffeine very much. I thought I'm not used to caffeine like that, and I feel like the Hulk Panera. Who's gonna create a product with 263 milligrams of caffeine? I'm dying.
Also, can I just call out that I love the fact that she finishes this rant with one final slurp? She'd be tripping on that caffeine, but you know she needs to take that final swig. Besides being just pure internet gold, her claims really piqued my fiercest interest. In a lot of cases like this, whether it's hot coffee from McDonald's or random car rants about lemonade, our first impulse is to label the person as kind of crazy, or negligent, or a Karen, or whatever. But history has shown that a lot of times these people wind up being right. So, is this a case of one random Panera patron ripping off a local restaurant for their personal WeWork?
I work at Panera. No. I work in a Panera because I don't want to pay for a co-working space, but working at home makes me want to take my own break, then alone.
Or is there something else going on here with Panera actively doing?
That's how I feel when I step on my feet. I think you in my comment section tonight.
And lastly, is Sarah in this video literally dying of a caffeine overdose? I think we need to look into all of it. What say you, Sarah?
Oh, this is gonna be a whirlwind.
So, looking at the online nutrition facts for Panera's new line of charged lemonades, we see that they come in a whopping 160 milligrams of caffeine coming from a combination of coffee extract and guarana extract. So she's definitely
The fuck is
right about the
guarana
amounts, but how much
extract?
caffeine is that really? And what's that going to do to your body?
Yes, I'm using a
First place to start
spoon.
here is with the science. Most of us understand that caffeine is a neurostimulant and vasodilator, which means that the more you drink, the more your blood vessels are expanding, allowing blood to rush to your brain and limbs. This blood rush causes you to feel more awake. But if you have too much, you start to feel jittery. Now, Sarah says that on a typical day, she's refilling her cup multiple times.
I'll drink 4 or 5 of these. I was always like, man, when I work at Panera, I feel great.
Running the math, she's been consuming a whopping 1,100 to 1,300 milligrams of caffeine a day. A staggering number when you consider that an average cup of coffee contains between 95 and 140 milligrams. In fact, drinking 4 cups of coffee a day qualifies you as a heavy coffee drinker. And yet, your Sarah, 4 cups a day is a third of the caffeine that she's consuming for this lemonade. Even if you compare her Panera caffeine intake to energy drinks that hinge on giving you know, energy, she's still in the artery-pumping stratosphere. Those drinks typically contain about 110 milligrams of caffeine for an entire can. Basically, Sarah here's chugging like 11 Red Bulls per day, or 6.5 tall Starbucks dark roasts, or 28 cans of Diet Coke. I'm a Diet Coke addict who drinks way too much, and even I can recognize that that is an alarming amount of soda. It's no wonder that she feels so good working at Panera when she's literally being drugged into believing it gives her supercharged work performance. So Sarah's consuming an insane amount of caffeine from these charged lemonades. That much is undeniable. But is Panera acting illegally in any of this? Is Panera negligent in some way? Should they be doing a better job of telling people what's inside of this stuff? Well, let's actually talk about that. I went to my local Panera and took some photos of the charged lemonade area. And immediately you can see that these aren't marketed as energy drinks. Sure, they're named charged lemonades, but what does that mean? Underneath the flavor heading, there's fine print that says it has as much caffeine as the dark roast coffee, but it's small. And you definitely lost my interest as soon as they started the sentence with plant-based and clean. And yeah, there's the nutrition facts below that, but 260 milligrams of caffeine? What's that mean? Is that a lot? A little? It's unclear unless I'm actively taking out
Why
my
is that
phone
brown?
and looking up.
Putting brown in it? Oh, right. The yellow and the red make the brown. I don't know now. Hi there. Probably already gone by now, but hello, goodbye.
The labeling could certainly be doing a lot more to communicate that this stuff is the caffeine equivalent of jet fuel, but it's actually the placement of the lemonade that's even more sus. These lemonades are located right next to the soda fountain, not the coffee stand. Sure, soda has caffeine, but not nearly to the level of these lemonades. And perhaps most damning of all, this is historically where the normal, non-caffeinated lemonades have sat for years in the restaurant. I know, because I go to Panera all the time, and I always like trying the new lemonades and teas that sit there. In fact, just like Sarah, before I ever saw her video, I too noticed the new flavors and tried them on a recent visit, thinking that they were just regular lemonades and teas, because it's always been just regular tea and lemonade in that area. Granted, my mind didn't melt through through my ears because they always tend to have way too many empty calories and sugar for my taste, so I wasn't chugging like 5 cups of the stuff, but still, I am anecdotal proof that the labeling doesn't make it clear what these things actually are. Overall, there's just something fishy about all of this. Like, why are they hiding the fact that these are caffeinated in some sort of tiny trays?
Panera, who's gonna create a bar of 263 milligrams of caffeine?
Who's gonna do that, you ask? Well, it's gonna be a company that wants to make sure that you feel great, awake, and energized after every trip to Panera, even if you don't quite understand why. Caffeine does have addictive properties, after all, and can lead people to developing a dependence. And people on caffeine are more likely to make impulsive decisions, like buying more stuff from Panera. This also isn't the first time a company has done something like this either. Starbucks Refreshers, probably the main competitor to these lemonades, have come under fire recently for how much caffeine is hidden inside a product that's largely aimed at kids on social media. I mean, when you look at the fun colors and the overall marketing, it's hard to deny who these drinks are made for.
This is my new obsession. I may have a problem.
You do, or at least you might. You may just be secretly getting fed doses of caffeine so you develop a dependence on these drinks and these restaurants that serve them. And mind you, those refreshers contain almost 6 times less caffeine than the lemonade that's being served at Panera. It's kind of like Panera saw an opportunity and decided to go nuclear with the whole thing. So as we've seen, the charged lemonade caffeine threat is real. Seems pretty darn dishonest in its marketing, and it seems like there may just be sinister intentions behind all of it. But is any of it illegal like Sarah initially claimed? The FDA often works in areas where consumer expectations or knowledge don't match the products or how they're marketed, so just what does the FDA have to say about caffeine disclosures? Well, the FDA, as we've talked about in the past, is the organization charged with regulating the labeling requirements for packaged products that you see on grocery store shelves. We know from previous episodes that they care about all kinds
It
of
looks a lot
things
better
like
to
sugar,
me
fat, cholesterol,
on the
and
screen
sugar.
than it does in person.
You bet they do. Especially
That
since
doesn't
the
look
world's
bad.
favorite little addiction
Eh.
has been up in the ante in recent years. Americans' love of working late, partying hard, and recording all of it for social media clout has led to a lot of caffeination in order for all of us to stay functional, with the biggest caffeine revolution coming from energy drinks starting in the early 2000s. Red Bull has technically been offering us wings since 1984, but it wasn't until it hit the shelves in the US in the late 90s that it really took off, where it replaced coffee for people who, I don't know, want something that tastes even worse than coffee. The stuff is way too sweet for me, honestly, but it did spawn a huge number of competitors in the market, including famous energy drinks like Rockstar and Monster Energy. The point is, though, that all of these products are labeled as energy drinks first and foremost, both in their branding and in their labeling. For caffeinated beverages, there are two...
That's in red, I think.
Cover the lengths. Perfection. Yep.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah, we're kind of nowhere's marks.
You said you wanted a little getaway. This is not what I imagined.
Oh my god, that's so cool. Wait, is that Matt Pat in the background? Yes, I need something to listen to, and because music will get me my live stream demonetized or get a strike against me, I watch a lot of theory. Game theory, YouTube theory, food theory, show theory. I also started doing more audiobooks as well, kind of like whatever's on YouTube when it comes to murder, mystery, horrors, and stuff. Usually the older stuff.
Made for bladder leaks, which means no more awkward surprises, no more uncomfortable, just confidence.
Are two main pieces of information that are contained on that label. First, serving size. Caffeine per serving, per container.
I'm gonna call this one done.
Nutrition facts so people don't mistake it for just another ingredient. So the label must include a
I'm gonna see if I get another canvas. I want a couple of these done for next month, and they're relatively quick if I don't mess them up too badly or get too messy with them.
And it's not enough just to say how much caffeine's in it. You have to explicitly label it as a high caffeine product that certain people should not drink. Right there on every Monster Energy drink. It's not huge.
Put you somewhere flat so you don't have an accident tonight.
Find it somewhere else.
Please don't have an
Does
accident.
any of this apply to Panera? Bizarrely, it doesn't. Those labels that you see on energy drinks aren't exactly an age-old policy, and they're
do
not
have
as
canvas over there.
as you might assume. Remember when I mentioned that energy drinks surged in popularity in the late 90s after Red Bull came to the US? Well, in that same time period, there started to be more and more incidents of ER from, you guessed it, caffeine overdose side effects. And I don't mean side effects like, oh, I had too much caffeine and energetically danced my way off a cliff. I mean seizures, liver and kidney injury, heart arrhythmia, psychotic symptoms. From 2005 to 2011, ER visits related to caffeine side effects
There we go.
increased tenfold, according to the Journal of caffeine research from 2013. Was it all just the result of energy drinks? No, there were also companies at the time that were marketing just straight caffeine powder unregulated as a dietary
I am
supplement.
very tired.
I mean, I joke about having an IV of Diet Coke strapped permanently in my arm, but my caffeine-addled brain can't get behind that one. The FDA didn't take kindly to that one either, and so they cracked down on high-caffeine products in 2015 with a warning letter. That's right, not a law, it's a strongly worded email. The FDA, for as much as we think of them as this almighty organization smiting food companies down with its banned hammer of government cheese, they're actually people who stay out of the issues for as long as they possibly can. Instead of hitting companies over the head with rules that'll likely lead to a lot of litigation, a lot of backlash, and possibly a huge amount of money spent on fighting with said companies, the FDA often opts for more of a come to Jesus moment in the form of warning letters. Basically telling companies that if they don't get their act together, they're all going to be in big trouble, mister. So with caffeine-related health issues on the rise and the FDA getting ready to pounce, American caffeine producers got together and decided to shape up as little as they possibly could. They recognized that in dietary supplements and energy drinks, no one understood how much caffeine they were consuming and what it could do to them. So the American Beverage Association, a group of all major U.S. beverage companies, started including high caffeine warning labels that you see on all energy drinks. The actual FDA regulations, though, they end with just including the amount of caffeine in the beverage, nothing else. Those warning labels, they aren't there because of a law. They're there because PepsiCo, Snapple, Coke, Monster, Red Bull, and Rockstar have collectively agreed to play nice in order to avoid future issues and future lawsuits. While that might sound like a bunch of companies just doing the bare minimum and only making changes because they want to avoid big smackdown lawsuits, I'm here to say, yeah, that's basically what's happening. But it's still better than what's happening down at your local Panera. You see, while calorie disclosures are typically required at chain or quick serve restaurants like Panera, caffeine labeling is not. You can probably just tell this intuitively. When you walk into a McDonald's, you don't see the caffeine content of each soda listed above its spot in the soda fountain. This is because there's no requirement for caffeine labeling. The jury's still out about how restaurants should disclose that kind of information. There are some cases that have been made recently, especially outside of the U.S., that foods in restaurants like McDonald's should be labeled if they contain caffeine. But all that would require is a small label that says contains caffeine, no amounts, no serving sizes, no warning. This is because more and more companies are taking caffeine or energy-boosting products into food. Everything from Kashi granola bars to yogurt. Because guess what? After you eat it, you feel inexplicably great.
Man, when I work at Panera, I feel great. I feel awesome. I get so much done.
And the next time you want to feel that way again, you'll buy it again. You'll eat it again. But if you don't know what's happening, you don't know that actually you're just being manipulated by micro doses of caffeine. As manufacturers are sneaking energy-boosting supplements into their regular products, like
No shading.
putting caffeine into a beverage that you would never expect to have caffeine, more and more people are
see,
consuming
Christmas
caffeine
wrap.
without being aware of what that actually means. Speaking of not knowing what it means, let's go back to that charged lemonade label at Panera. It has the calories, which is required
deep breath.
18, and it has the caffeine, like we talked about before. What a conscientious citizen Panera is, right? No. Well, it looks like Panera is going above and beyond by including this. You can view this
Bright
little
red.
tiny tag as a tiny handwritten lawsuit shield. By explicitly labeling the caffeine in these drinks, even if no one understands what it actually means, Panera can attempt to avoid a lawsuit claiming that patrons didn't know how much caffeine they were drinking. I mean, look, it's right there. It's right on the front of the thing that they're filling up their cup with. What they're not making explicitly clear is that the amount of caffeine in one serving of this lemonade, if you can call it that, is the equivalent of 3 servings of Monster energy drink. And that's talking about the small size. The large is equivalent to 4.5 servings, which is more than 2 full cans of Monster. Every Monster energy drink comes with a warning, but the Panera lemonade just comes with a free refill sign. It's also notable that the large size here contains 390
First we paint the background black, then let it set, then go with the thing, so I don't scrape it off and expose the white by mistake.
100 milligrams of caffeine is the maximum amount recommended to drink in an entire day before making side effects. And Panera has conveniently shimmied right in under that limbo stick with 390 milligrams of caffeine in their lemonade. This way, if a patron dies of a caffeine overdose and their family comes back to sue the restaurant, Panera can point to the fact that their serving size is within the FDA recommended limits on caffeine and that the product was labeled in the restaurant. Truly, Panera is living up to its motto, food as it should be, to avoid federal litigation. But I mean, how big of a problem is this really? Even if people really overdo it on the caffeine, are they risking something more than just some temporary illness? Well, yeah, actually, very much so. We've already talked about the long history of caffeine side effects going back to the early early 2000s, but if 25 years of data isn't enough, let's look at where it becomes life and death. According to the FDA, toxic effects related to caffeine, like seizures, can appear with a consumption of around 1,200 milligrams, the amount that we know Sarah from TikTok is drinking. But that's talking about a fully grown, healthy adult with no medical conditions. And by medical conditions, I'm not just talking about something serious like chronic heart disease. I mean the medical condition of being under 18, being pregnant, having diabetes. I mean, the list goes on. Perfectly healthy, normal people with no existing conditions can literally die of caffeine overdose. In 2011, a 14-year-old girl with a heart condition known as mitral valve prolapse died after consuming 2 Monster energy drinks in 24 hours. That's 480 milligrams of caffeine, the same amount of caffeine that's in just over 1 large Panera lemonade. In another case, a 16-year-old male with no known medical conditions died after consuming a McDonald's latte, a Mountain Dew, and an unnamed energy drink in 2 hours, 2 of which wouldn't have been labeled as containing high levels of caffeine. At the end of the day, the public doesn't think of caffeine as a health risk because the vast majority of us still associate it with a couple cups of coffee in the morning, or a bottle of Coke here and there. But the fact is, it's almost everywhere, and there's more of it around than ever before. It's not required that it be labeled, or that restaurants put warnings on products that contain a lot of it, but they should do it anyway, and we as consumers should start demanding it. Whether we want to admit it or not, caffeine is a drug, and it's a drug that's being fed to us more and more without our knowledge. In the meantime, while we're still waiting for better labels and warnings on caffeine, what can we do? Well, here's my contribution. It's a little practical life tip time from Food Theory. So you ready for this one? If you take nothing else away from this episode, take this from someone who's absolutely not a doctor, and is just a guy on the internet who offers you no medical advice whatsoever. Caffeine in a can of Coke, 34 milligrams. Caffeine in a cup of coffee, about 95 to 110 on the high end. Energy drinks, 85 milligrams per serving, but you're looking at least 160 milligrams.
Wait until my screen catches
What's
up.
my personal rule of thumb here? Double digits in milligrams, pretty average.
Fine.
100 to 200, it's pretty high. Don't be doubling or tripling up on those things. Scientifically, your heart might start getting cranky. 200, 300, back away slowly, my friends, because we're entering into Panera territory. The Panera-tory. And the next time you see some sneaky caffeine working its way into a food product without anyone's knowledge, go ahead, make a car rant video. You'll be doing us all a public service. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. By the way, if you're looking for a more lighthearted episode about Panera where I try to make myself a pair of bread gloves, you heard that right. Gloves made out of bread. Does it work? Does it not? Guarantee you it's embarrassing. That video's over on that. Or if you want to see some of the positive effects of caffeine, specifically how it gave way to the greatest scientific advances that humankind has ever made, that video's over right. Everything is always a double-edged sword, my friends. Anyway, as always, thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Make sure you're reading your food labels. See you all.
Yo, can you get some of those crackers? They're not crackers. Yo, can I have some snacks? They're not just snacks. They're crispers. They're different. They don't fit into simplistic paradigms. They're from the north, so they're in a league of their own. Whoa. Fierce, like falling in the snow at 20 below. Defy all expectations. They're crispers. They can never swear.
Ugh. I am too covered in paint for this.
My bad. I don't know what came over me.
Everyone knows that McDonald's Sprite tastes way better than just ordinary Sprite. Why is it so? What is the secret to McDonald's soda fountains? It's a great question that's been circulating around the internet for the last 5 years, and that is what I aim to answer today. And let me tell you, the truth is in the place that you'd least suspected.
The straw.
Hello,
What's in this
Internet.
episode?
Welcome to Food Theory, the channel that it's different. For a while now, the internet's been obsessed with the fizzy mystery that is McDonald's Sprite. In case you've never had it, it's like perfectly chilled liquid Pop Rocks bursting with lemon lime flavor. The general consensus is that the Sprite being served out of McDonald's soda fountain is stronger, giving it an electric or even a spicy taste.
Why is it spicy?
You need to order a Sprite, extra spicy.
Extra spicy.
Whoa, it's spicy! Others have said that this stuff is so powerful it could probably fry fish.
Proper fish, you want some? Got something strong in me.
My personal favorite flavor comparison, though, is that it tastes like what a Super Saiyan 2 looks like. Crisp and full of lightning. It's even gotten to the point where McDonald's and Sprite themselves have had to acknowledge this trend.
Hey everybody, Chris K here. I'm in the mood for some spice. First, the spicy Sprite. That's spicy.
But obviously, the next question that everyone has on their mind is, what exactly makes the drink so explosive, so good, so crisp? Well, the internet has plenty of theories. Food theories, trying to answer exactly that. In general, the guesses circulating the internet boil down to 4 key factors. The first is that the Sprite syrup getting shipped to the restaurants gets special treatment due to a long-standing partnership.
My sleeve is ripped and that just went right on my skin.
Send syrup in plastic
Jesus.
bags to other restaurants and stores. They send the syrup to McDonald's in stainless steel containers.
The second theory is that the carbonation levels are just
I need to start
higher
at the
at
top.
McDonald's.
And remember how this
That's
goes.
why it burnt your nose.
Third is that the Sprite is extra sweet to better combat the saltiness
Oh, yeah.
of McDonald's fries.
Got my reference
Hired
photo.
a sensory scientist, and he found out that the salt that
Yeah,
they
of course
use
I-
in their fries enhances the flavor of the Sprite.
And finally, some have thrown all of that other stuff away and said that there's no difference, but rather everything's the result of McDonald's having a larger straw.
Apparently the straw is bigger, so you get more flavor in your mouth. Alright, this one's definitely bro. Who even writes this?
So today we're putting this debate to rest once and for all by digging into the facts and then running our own battery of scientific tests. Why is McDonald's Sprite so different? Is it different? Or is this just a self-fulfilling prophecy started by the internet hype machine that now everyone just implicitly believes? Get ready, theorists! Today we obey our thirst, but follow the facts. Now, before we get to my big taste experiment, putting all these theories to the test, I think it makes sense to look at the possible explanations one at a time to see if there's anything we can debunk right off the bat. The first hypothesis that I've seen circulating around is that Coca-Cola specially delivers the Sprite syrup to McDonald's restaurant in these large stainless steel tanks. This is the result of a long-standing relationship between the two companies. And right off the bat, this one does seem to be rooted in some amount of truth. You
Is the
see,
head
the
too
relationship
small?
between Coke and McDonald's started
The
in
head's
the
too
early
small.
days of the restaurant expansion, with the two companies partnering up and
And I
growing
just
together.
brittled
Their
everywhere.
relationship is
Hates
so
brittling.
strong that Coke is
God,
contractually
I'm too-
barred from selling
I know I'm getting
syrup
older, it
to
happens,
less
but
than
still.
McDonald's
I mean, I like it when it
even
does.
means costing them business. There's even a division at Coca-Cola dedicated to specifically McDonald's business, aptly named the McDonald's division. Look, they're saving the creativity for the marketing and not the department naming. Needless to say, Coke works closely with McDonald's to make sure that they have everything they need to deliver their product in the best way possible. And in turn, McDonald's spends a large amount of resources to ensure that they're giving their customers the best Coca-Cola experience they can. But does any of this actually affect the way that syrup is being shipped? Yes, it does. You see, the concept of delivering the syrup in stainless steel vats makes a lot of sense. The seal helps ensure that the syrup's flavor is the purest it can be. And when you look at the reality of the situation, Coke is indeed sending syrups to McDonald's in steel vats. There's just one problem. It's not Sprite syrup. According to James McIntyre, franchise owner from Pennsylvania, not all Coke products get the same treatment. The syrup for Coca-Cola, that arrives in stainless steel tanks. The Sprite, however, does not. It instead comes in the standard plastic bags that everyone else is using. That's right, it's just a box lined with a plastic bag. We even went to our local McDonald's and asked to speak to the manager, in the least caring way possible, to see if we could get confirmation of any of this. Yep, only Coca-Cola gets the stainless steel vat treatment, not Sprite. So that's one major theory debunked right off the bat. Next up, the water quality and overall level of carbonation. As hype around McDonald's soda has circulated across the internet for the past 5 years, various sources have started to come clean about how clean McDonald's soda fountains really are. And it's here that our friend James McIntyre, that franchise owner in Pennsylvania I talked about in the last paragraph, helps us out again, revealing that McDonald's has not one, but 4 different water filtration systems that the water has to go through before it ever makes it to the soda tower. This process includes a state-of-the-art reverse osmosis filter that works by applying pressure to the unfiltered water, forcing it through a membrane and into a storage tank, which in turn helps remove dissolved minerals, bacteria, and other solids. This makes the water virtually tasteless before the syrup gets mixed in, thereby ensuring a consistent flavor profile wherever you're going in the country. Usually, a restaurant or a gas station that has itself a soda fountain is going to connect the water line directly to the machine. Rarely are they incorporating a filter, let alone 4. This makes the process simpler and cheaper, but apparently McDonald's isn't afraid to spend a little bit more. But it's not all about purity. Once the water is squeaky clean and tasteless, the next step in the process is for them to make it sub-zero. Alright, not exactly sub-zero, but just
God damn it.
really cool. See, the other big
Come on,
difference is the
stop being
temperature
perfection.
of the bottles
It's
and
fine.
Normally, other soda fountains are set to flash chill their sodas as they're being dispensed, so that they come out cold, but not cold. The Golden Arches, on the other hand, are pre-chilling not only the filtered water, but also the syrup to the perfect range between 33 and 38 degrees Fahrenheit, just above freezing temperatures. This range is important because it's the optimal temperatures for the carbonation of the water. You see, CO2, or carbon dioxide, the chemical compound that makes fizzy drinks fizz, has a higher rate of absorption and dispersion in colder liquids. In other words, the colder the liquid is, the more carbonation it's able to have. This is why warm drinks tend to go flat quicker. The gas is able to escape more easily. So with the Sprite's water and syrup both being pre-chilled, it's preventing any unwanted fluctuations in temperature when the water and syrup get mixed together in the soda fountain. In other words, the claim that McDonald's Sprite is more carbonated is technically true, but not for the reasons that you would expect. It appears like it has more to do with the colder temperatures of the water and syrup rather than
all the
any
little
sort
white
of
dots?
artificial increase in the amount
All the ones I
of
care about.
bubbles being shoved into the mix. But then what about the syrup to water ratio? One of the biggest myths that you see circulating around the internet is that the syrup to water ratio coming out of McDonald's fountains is actually higher than what's being served up in a typical bottle or can of Sprite, thereby making their soda sweeter and thus more flavorful or stronger to the drinkers. This is one, though, that McDonald's themselves have publicly shut down, saying that there's no special formula they have. That said, I'm not just gonna naturally trust a corporation. Can we take their word for it? The answer is actually somewhere between yes and no. While McDonald's claims to strictly adhere to the Coca-Cola standard of 1 to 5 water syrup ratio, or 1 ounce of syrup to every 5 ounces of water, they do take into consideration the ice that's being added into the drink, meaning that they have a slightly higher
I'm getting fussy and I need to stop.
that is, you're tasting the equivalent of the standard 1 to 5 ratio. So, pro tip to all of you watching, don't skip the ice for that drink at McDonald's. You're gonna ruin the ratio. You'll ruin the art. And it'll just be a tad bit too sweet. So we've gotten our cup of Sprite straight out of the fountain, nice and cold with just the right amount of ice and flavor. But there's still something else at work here, the fries. Rumor number 3 states that McDonald's hired scientists to help optimize how the sweet Sprite pairs with the salty fries, all in order to make the perfect combination. And anecdotally, there's evidence to back this one up. According to some sources, McDonald's has developed a special ketchup recipe, one that's sweeter and tangier than other brands that is specifically designed to match the saltier
What am I doing?
flavor of their fries. Now, according to my research, this has never been outright confirmed, but it is known that the company uses extensive taste testing to ensure that their products are as delicious as possible. And if they're doing it with ketchup, is it that much of a stretch to believe that they're doing it with the sodas as well? But that's not all. Back in the ancient days of the 1980s, when cars were powered by feet like the Flintstones, the French fries at McDonald's were fried using beef tallow instead of the canola oil that they use today. This made for an insanely rich, savory fry taste. Unfortunately, beef tallow was also incredibly unhealthy. So in the 90s, when the public grew more concerned about the saturated fats in their foods, they made the switch to plain old vegetable oil. Customers obviously started to complain, so McDonald's began adding natural beef flavorings to mimic the old beloved flavor. Yep, that means that the fries at McDonald's are not vegan friendly, so sorry any of you vegans out there that have been happily munching down on the golden goodness. But hey, at least they didn't have to pay $10 million as part of a lawsuit because of that very fact. Anyway, today their French fries still contain that rich umami flavor from the added beef flavoring and salt. Couple that with the refreshing acidity and sweetness of the Sprite, and you have yourself the bliss point, a term coined by market researcher Howard Moskowitz when describing the perfect balance of sugar, salt, and fat. These two complete each other like a fast food rom-com come to life, but none of it is gonna matter if you're just guzzling the Sprite like an animal. And this, my friends, is where one of the smallest parts of this process makes itself the biggest difference: the straw. Hypothesis number 4, the size of the straw. Most people don't give the straw a second thought, but McDonald's gave it a second, third, and fourth thought. For example, did you know that McDonald's straws are actually wider than normal? Yeah, the diameter of a standard drinking straw is 0.24 inches, but a McDonald's straw has a diameter of 0.284 inches. Now, that might not sound like that much, but it's enough of a difference that a normal straw can actually fit inside of a McDonald's one. And just how much of that is changing the drink experience? Well, the advantage of drinking through a straw is that it delivers less liquid into your mouth, allowing you to warm it up faster and get more aroma and flavor through volatile organic compounds, or VOCs for short. VOCs help produce aromas of the food and drinks that we consume, aromas that are intensified and become more complex when they warm up. That's why if you were to just take a giant swig of freezing Sprite, you'd barely be able to taste release much outside of the brain freeze that's ravaging your head. But with a straw, it limits the amount of liquid that you can take into your mouth at a time, which lets it warm up briefly and at the same time improves air circulation in the mouth when you drink. The straw is also helping out with the carbonation because while a straw might seem smooth to us, there are actually tons of tiny little bumps and indentations in there, all places where carbon dioxide molecules can attach to, thereby creating more bubbles, promoting more effervescence. This is why paper straws, which have even more imperfections, can cause carbonated drinks to go crazy. Or at least that's how the science should play out. But does any of this actually make that substantial of a difference? It's finally time to put all these variables to the test. Take it away, live action Matt Pat.
Alright, so with all our variables set and ready to go, it's time to actually put our money where our mouth is. Or put our Sprite where our mouth is. I am joined on the couch by HR Representative Rachel.
Hello, happy to be here.
Is that the lore that I should build for you at this point?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds fancier than I am.
It is. So before you, we have a bunch of different varieties of Sprite, so we can actually get a side-by-side taste test on what truly is the best version of Sprite. We also have variables.
Oh, thank you for all the love tonight before you head out. Always appreciate it.
Playing a factor in all of this.
Sorry I haven't been around. I did the market, and a friend of mine.
It's lunchtime, which is great.
Yeah,
Some
so
sauces. We can test out whether
I haven't really been in a crafty mood lately.
engineered to complement the saltiness of the McDonald's fry, or if that's just meant to all equal.
But yeah, we're getting there. Aw, you guys are the best.
Sprite, and I expect.
In order to survive winter, the Balron searches for food.
Can't really see the chat. I just see little floating hearts every once in a while.
Essential for building strong roots. Once fed, it can hibernate to bounce back stronger in the spring.
Expect them all to taste the same, but I'm gonna enjoy them all.
Yeah, you think they're all gonna taste the same?
Well, I think with the fries, I think we're gonna like that for the vibes.
Really, for the vibes.
Yeah.
Purely
For the
vibes.
vibes.
Purely all the vibes.
But I don't think they're gonna be that different.
I firmly disagree.
Really?
100%. Long-term viewers of our channels will know that I can taste test the difference between Diet Coke from can to bottle to fountain to glass. Like, it's very easy for me to, even from different restaurant franchises.
Damn it.
Diet Coke, I'm an addict. I wouldn't be surprised if this tasted vastly different. So without any further ado, let's crack these in real quick, shall we?
Do you want me to?
This is a twist off. Do we have a can here? Bottle or something? You just did it with your teeth. Sure.
Just a talent.
Okay. Pleasant.
Sprite.
Tastes like Sprite.
Sprite.
It's not as carbonated, but this is a good baseline of Sprite. Not as carbonated as I expected, but also doesn't have that spiciness that you associate.
It's well
with it.
balanced.
Yeah, it's actually very smooth. It's a smooth Sprite. All right, here's the big one. Huh.
I don't know what to do with that.
Huh. I don't either.
This feels flatter. It feels fizzier, this one does.
Right? That one feels fizzier.
I don't know if this has a flavor.
Oh, I forgot the blue.
The fizz is what really feels like it gives
Maybe
you
I didn't eat it.
or the little bit of the Sprite burn. And it does feel like when this one goes through this straw, this one feels bubbly.
It does.
Whereas this guy does not. Right, yeah. Thank you. What, should I enlist your teeth for this one? Huh. Okay, that one.
I don't think that needed to be done.
I agree with
I
that.
think I was good without it. Oh well.
It does feel less sweet.
We are having fun tonight, and that is all.
So Sprite all really tastes the same.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
very similar.
there's differences in carbonation, but I feel like the taste
Right?
is consistent.
It does feel like the taste is consistent across the board.
Yeah.
It is purely based off of carbonation and less to do with the flavor mix.
The more carbonation it feels like, the less sweet it is. Whereas like this is more carb. That's the last one so far. The other ones have like an airy feel.
We did an episode a long time ago about champagne and about how the glass bottles of the champagne might pour it into glass because it's able to retain the smaller bubbles better.
Oh.
And so I'm wondering if the glass bottle of the Sprite is actually playing into that in some way and
Yeah.
is functioning some. I was able to do that one too, sorry. I should have offered it to your teeth first, my bad. This is so vastly different.
There's like a lot of bubbles out there. Those are close with the bubbles.
in terms of the kitty bubbles.
But it almost feels like this one has the most flavors. Because the other ones are just so carbonated and distracting.
So what have we learned here? What is the most different Sprite? They all, to me, taste the same.
Yes.
This one, I get a little bit of a sense of the can. This one tastes a bit watery because of the ice. This one is very bubbly for a
Time is it?
relative to the other ones. But as far as the flavor difference,
These don't have as much detail
and
as
I'm surprised.
the
My
last one I
hypothesis,
meant,
like I said
but
at the
like,
beginning, my hypothesis was that
fucking
it would be very
exhausted at
easy
this
to tell
point.
a flavor difference between all four of these in much the same way that you do with Diet Coke. I sit here and I think I'm completely wrong about that. Alright, so with round one of the test complete, I think let's move on to the big boy straws. So this is what McDonald's is primed to give you, right?
You ever do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yours is better than mine.
I have a 4-year-old.
It just looks like a white.
That's valid.
I blew, speaking of my 4-year-old, I blew Ollie's mind one time by showing him the Giga Straw. There it is. The Giga Straw? Yes. Because it's more. Obviously, we have a bigger boy straw. So now it's time to compare the flavor of the two, right? Does the higher volume of stuff
Really?
in your mouth in this one complement this type of Sprite? Does it change things at all? Does it affect the amount of carbonation and bubbles that you're tasting? So, without any further ado, back to the rounds.
I need to get a straw for this one.
Right?
It's good down. It's easier to drink. It tastes the same.
It still tastes like
It
Sprite.
tastes the same.
Spoiler alert, drinking it through a big straw has not changed the fact that it is still Sprite. Oh, thanks. You did! Was it,
God damn it! Okay, that was gonna happen too.
So wait, let's do the side by side real quick. So we got thin straw. Okay, thin straw. There's a thick boy. Interesting. We do it side by side.
Bubbles don't quite as much.
Right.
A little bit easier.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because the straw has texture on the inside, the soda's coming through it, so it's activating a lot of those bubbles, right? Here, because you're getting more fluid and less surface area, you're gonna get less bubbles overall, and that's exactly what I'm tasting here.
Yeah.
This one, the smaller straw, is giving me stuff that is decidedly more bubbly and concentrating the bubbles. This is a much more balanced flavor for this guy.
Okay.
Ah,
I am
interesting. I'm curious to get it. I'm curious
so
to get
tired.
it. I don't want to color anything.
For real. They're supposed to be blue in the eyes.
Here.
Stir it again. I think for some reason you almost lose the carbonation with the small straw and it comes back more with the big one. I don't think it's there quite as much as the other one still, but it is more balanced for sure.
Maybe I just like consuming my drinks like a maniac. Like sicko mode. Like, I'm drinking the whole thing. And it's not giving me much of a flavor difference, but it's giving me like, yeah, it's a weird mouthfeel thing, right? Where having more fluid hitting my mouth faster is more satisfying in some way. And when I'm drinking this, I find it much more enjoyable going through this straw than this straw.
I think it's just a fuller experience.
Not 100% sure what it is, but with both of the two, I would opt for the bigger straw. Even though I couldn't necessarily tell you why I'm opting for the bigger straw, I like it better. From vibes.
I
These
think I'm done.
straws are just too small. They create too much carbonation, and as a result, I don't get the flavor of the soda as much as just a bunch of bubbles, and I don't like that much carbonation.
That's significantly different.
Right.
Carbonation.
Yeah, between the two.
Yeah, the flavor stays the same.
Yeah.
Through all of them, I think. But the carbonation affects the flavor.
It does. 100% across the board. In every single one of these, big straw is the better option.
The flavor is better with less carbonation.
So maybe McDonald's secret sauce here isn't so much about like the flavor or anything like that. It really boils down to the straw. But what's interesting,
I do red.
is as
What
we
if I
continue to
did,
this and as
like,
I get overwhelmed with the flavor of
a
Sprite,
blue
I
background?
appreciate the watered down,
What do you think?
icy, you know,
Or like
this
green
is
one?
the guy that has the watered
I
down.
don't know if I have the
Sprite
colors
flavor,
for it.
Whereas the other one is like pure
I don't know if I have the
unfiltered
canvas
sweet.
for it. Look
And
at
so,
you.
like you said, this one
Shit.
tastes
I don't want to finish here.
different as a result of that. It's
I think I'm done for the night.
It's more soothing, And so, like, I feel like I can drink more of this, and this one at this.
I don't care. Alright, well, I think I'm done for the night. I did something, which is really about all you can expect from me tonight. But anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. Yeah, the head's too small. I'm not fixing it. Alright, have a good night.